Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in. Got some breaking news for you here from Adam Schefter. The Jaguars are set to hire defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen, a big-time move for the Jaguars, who are going through quite a bit of change in the coaching staff after a disappointing 2023 campaign. Ryan Nielsen will now be their defensive coordinator moving forward. Looking at Nielsen, spent a long time in New Orleans, 2017 to 2022, was the defensive line coach that whole time. In 2021, became assistant head coach. In 2022, became co-defensive coordinator. The Falcons then hired him after the 2022 campaign. In 2023, he had a very good year for the Falcons in his first and only season with them. They obviously had a coaching change at the top with Arthur Smith being fired. The Falcons initially tried to block the Jaguars from interviewing Ryan Nielsen, but I guess once they decided to move in a different direction with their head coaching search, they then decided that they would allow the Jaguars to interview Ryan Nielsen, and Nielsen ended up being the guy for the Jaguars. He's 44 years old, but plenty of coaching experience, both in the league and at the college football level. He was in college football for over a decade prior to joining the New Orleans Saints in 2017. In my opinion, this is a very good get. This guy is very well regarded. He did well in his first full year as a defensive coordinator solo in Atlanta, a defense that needed rapid improvement, and I think they really did improve early on and throughout the campaign. I think they were really humming by the end of the season with Ryan Nielsen leading the way. You talk about his background with his defense. He's been D-line focused throughout a lot of his career. The Jaguars' interior defensive line, it was not good enough in 2023. That might be putting it lightly. Is that part of this hire? The Jaguars wanting to fix that defensive front? I would think so. Absolutely. I think the interior of the defensive line for the Jaguars in 2023 was unacceptable. I think the edge depth, that play was unacceptable beyond Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. I think one thing you can say is the Falcons, they did tackle better than the Jaguars as well. At all three levels, they played the run better than the Jaguars. They looked more cohesive and competitive down the stretch than the Jaguars defense did in 2023. He does run multi-front defense. I know Jaguars fans are harping on, is it a 4-3? Is it a 3-4? You'll get 3 down linemen. You'll get 4 down linemen. You'll see a ton of different looks. And I know fans are just very obsessed with that base defense, but honestly, this is going to be a multi-front defense. You're going to see a ton of different looks from this crew, from Ryan Nielsen dialing up the plays. He has a lot of different influences throughout his coaching career. He's going to try to marry everything together to create something cohesive and unique here for Jacksonville based on his past history, the coaching staff's past history that he ends up hiring, and obviously the personnel that he's saddled with. So I don't think that necessarily the days of edges dropping into coverage are completely behind you. I know that some of the Atlanta edges in 2023 were dropping at times. Were they dropping as much as you saw some of the Jaguars guys? Probably not. So there's that, right? You will see blitzes, mini blitzes, lots of different pressure packages from a Ryan Nielsen defense. I think that's one thing you can guarantee. Now on the back end, you will see some post-snap movement, pre-snap movement. You also see some straight-up man looks, probably more man coverage than you saw in 2023 for the Jaguars. Actually, I can guarantee you there will be more man coverage, a lot more man coverage than what the Jaguars ran in 2023. But how he wants to run things on the back end, it will be influenced by the Jaguars personnel. And what he wants to do might influence the Jaguars personnel decisions this offseason in a way, right? We will see how it works out, but obviously Tyson Campbell is not going anywhere from a contract standpoint. Andre Sisco, same situation, but Trey Herndon, your starting nickel, set to be a free agent. Darius Williams, starting outside corner. Huge cap savings if you decide to move on and go in a different direction. You save $10 million against the cap in 2023. Same thing with Rayshon Jenkins. I think you save over $5 million against the cap in 2023 with your starting strong safety if you want to move on there. So there's a lot of different directions the Jaguars could potentially go to try to get the personnel in here that will suit what Ryan Nielsen wants to do. And again, he can change up a little bit of what he wants to do defensively to suit what personnel he does have. We will see how all that plays out in the coming months, right? I think at linebacker for the Jaguars, he'll be excited about the group he's coming in to work with. Foye Oluokun is a guy that he's going to know very well already because he wasn't coaching him in Atlanta, obviously, but he did coach against the Atlanta Falcons for a long time, and so he saw Foye a couple times a year. I think now that you have another defensive coordinator, how does that impact Josh Allen and those contract negotiations? I absolutely think that he's going to need to create a dialogue with Josh Allen at some point. You're going to need to, if you're Josh Allen, you're going to need to make sure that you like this guy. And I think that based on what you've seen from former players talking about Ryan Nielsen, Josh Allen will end up loving him. And the good thing for Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker is the Jaguars have retained, at this point, their outside linebackers coach, which I don't know if that will technically be the same position anymore, how that will all work out with this new defensive staff. But they still do have Bill Shuey. We'll see what happens there. Overall, again, for me, this is a very exciting move for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a guy that, while he doesn't have decades of experience as a defensive coordinator like a Leslie Frazier or some of the other potential candidates out there, he has been a defensive coordinator in this league now. He did it last year. He was also a co-defensive coordinator prior to that, an assistant head coach prior to that. So this is a guy that has dealt with some of the leadership things that goes into being one of the top coaches on a staff. And I think that's vital. I don't think you wanted to hire someone who did not have defensive coordinator experience, not because it can't work out. It obviously can, but for the Jaguars and their situation, they're in win now mode. They didn't need someone who was going to come in and have learning pains and growing pains early on. I think that Ryan Nielsen, he should be able to get here and get to work immediately and not really have the growing pains of learning how to be a defensive coordinator in this league. He knows how. But yeah, that was his defense in Atlanta. Like, that was not an Arthur Smith defense. Arthur Smith is an offensive coach. That was Ryan Nielsen's defense. And his fingerprints were all over the Saints defense for the last couple of years as well, especially when you talk about those last 2 seasons he was there. But even before that, what they've been able to do with their defensive fronts from a development standpoint, I think a lot can be attributed to Ryan Nielsen in that capacity. And how about what a player had to say about him just a few minutes ago? Cam Jordan, one of the best defensive lineman edge players in the business for a long time, he just tweeted this about Ryan Nielsen, that he is top tier when it comes to developing pass rush and emphasizing technique on run and gap integrity. That will be absolutely critical for the Jaguars defense, being able to not only develop the pass rush, which you have seen over the last couple years with your top guys, but the run and gap integrity is huge. I think that they were, quite frankly, lacking majorly in that department, and that came to a head against the Tennessee Titans in Week 18 this year. And I think beyond that, something that's going to be vital is eliminating coverage busts. Obviously, they will happen from time to time, no matter what, but they were prevalent for a lot of 2022 and during the stretch where the Jaguars could not get off the field in 2023, where they could not win football games. There were coverage busts every single week, multiple coverage busts. So I think that that's going to be critical, being able to communicate effectively and get these guys to just do their jobs, understand their assignments on a given play. What will determine his success here? Communication and teaching, which it sounds like he has down based on everything we've seen, adapting what he wants to do to the personnel that he has, which I think he did a good job of that again last year in Atlanta. Leadership is going to be critical. Work ethic is going to be critical from him, his staff, and trickling down to the players. Adaptability week to week, drive to drive, down to down is going to be important. It always is in this NFL, where you see teams changing so much on a week to week basis. And ultimately, the pieces he's given are going to greatly determine how things go for Ryan Nielsen in Jacksonville. Will the Jaguars upgrade their defensive front? They've got to be better in the interior of the defensive line. They have to be better with their edge depth. Will they retain Josh Allen? They've got to do that, in my opinion. I think it's a no-brainer. I think if I was Ryan Nielsen, that would be one of the key things to me coming here is Josh Allen going to be here next year, right? And will they improve the secondary? There are definitely some avenues to changing things up and trying to upgrade what you have at all 3 levels of this defense, really. Outside of linebacker, I think you're probably set there. But again, I do believe this is an exciting hire for the Jacksonville Jaguars. How they support Ryan Nielsen from a personnel standpoint, Trent Baalke's got a lot of work to do, is going to greatly determine how things go. But I think Ryan Nielsen is a rising star in this league. I think he's a guy that's well regarded both by personnel around the league and players. And I think he's someone's going to come in here and get to work very quickly for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm excited about it. Hope you are too. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And you can also check out ginjag.com/shop to pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.